Everyone, and welcome to The Last Court. Now, if you didn't watch the introduction, I highly recommend it so that you get the gist of what is The Last Court on the surface, as far as it's being used as a connection, a kind of like summary, but you're experiencing it between the time of the Champion of Kirkwall, Anders blowing up the Chantry and all that, all the way up to the Inquisition being formed about, I think, 5 years later. So, basically, you can choose the Huntress or the Scholar. Now, these are your two choices for your leader of Serault. You're the Marquis. You can choose either to be the Huntress, which will help a lot in specific tasks, specific things, but obviously you can also be the Scholar, who also relies on cunning and knowledge in order to succeed. Now, for this playthrough, I'm going to be doing the Huntress, who, quote, is valiant, charismatic, and skilled in the hunt. She cares little for books or schemes. So whenever you choose your character, you get a certain number of different qualities. Now, it says an occurrence, an occurrence, an occurrence. So depending on which one you choose, the Huntress or the Scholar, you'll have different variations of qualities. Now, the Daring Do is at 50, your Rulership is at 30, Woods Wise, Cunning, Scholarship. And then also even tells you what people are going to address you as, my lady, your grace. And then also you have a certain amount of health. Now, these is not the only one. This is only for your personal qualities. But you'll be able to train, so to speak, train yourself. As far as getting more skills, you'll be able to do certain acts that will improve your own skill or your city's skill. Now, I'll let you do this for yourself. It basically, think of like a text-based adventure where, oh, should you look west? Oh, should you look east? Oh, look down to the chateau. So this is one of the very few instances where it's like you need to look left, look right, or look forward. I'll let you do that on your own. And basically, I'll just tell you, there are these little options I will show. If you don't know, Dragon Age Inquisition's kind of like, there's a little bit more about constellations, about like the different signs, the different tells. And this kind of adds to it. In the little thing, you'll see the square with the little cloud, right there. It basically will just show you what are the ominous signs, and also like the status of Serault. So in here it's like the applewoods are dapped with shadow and filled with succulent midnights. Come closer. Now, before you choose all the qualities, this is you choosing the qualities of your city. So you get 2 out of the 3. You would be able to choose freedom if you were the Scholar, but basically it goes into dignity or prosperity. Prosperity would be, oh, you have a high amount of wealth, and dignity would be pride, honor. A high dignity makes Serault better respected by your neighbors and keeps your nobles happy. So I will choose the very specific one for my Huntress. Now you see here, it goes, your freedom quality is now 30, your freedom quality is 30, your dignity quality is 50, and your prosperity is now 30. If you were to choose prosperity, it would be at 50. Dignity obviously would be, if I remember correctly, it's a little bit less, and then freedom would be less. So whenever you're reacting with the world within the Last Court, there are a lot of people who require a certain amount of authority, a certain amount of dignity, prosperity, and freedom in order to do these like different tasks. And you have to have a certain amount in order to actually do certain things. Now, Twilight, Peril, and Revolution. I personally choose Peril whenever it comes to not Alestra, but the Huntress. Primarily, whenever it deals with this kind of thing, it's like, if you're going to be with the Scholar, I tend to see that the Twilight is a lot easier to handle with, and somewhat Rumors of Revolution, but Twilight's a lot easier to deal with because you are more cunning, more knowledgeable. You have less effort into gaining more quality skill. When it comes to the Huntress, I always choose Peril because it's mainly about going after those people and using your specific daring do in order to actually go after them, as well as certain like hunts where it's really helpful. So, we're gonna choose Peril. And then it says your choice has been recorded in the keep. And it will give you base values for each one, right? So we're just going to continue in here. I don't want to go into every single text because I think it would be really helpful for you to kind of explore it on your own. Now there is a tutorial that will come up here, but I think it's really good if you kind of experience it yourself. But before we even do that, your seneschal comes to you. Now, you'll have certain people that you can recruit within the course of this game. Now, there isn't one set person that you can recruit. There are a couple that come in, and basically you have to earn their favor over time by doing specific things in order to build your own arsenal of people. You need to also upgrade yourself and upgrade your leadership, your town. Yeah. So I always choose bold but not subtle, primarily because the plain-spoken seneschal will increase your daring do by 5. I find that's really helpful. For me, I like to have my attacks, or not my attacks, but my skills centered towards one thing, so that if it's high enough, you just basically breeze through the game. But that's just me. I say usually because this game is really, really hard. Actually, it's a nice challenge because it's all text-based and you have to like kind of like, even though that you're learning the story and you're trying to balance all the things, it's also really hard because, it's managing a kingdom. So I'm just gonna choose the seneschal that is plain spoken. If you were the other one, if you were the scholar, I would have chosen the other option. But for now, I'm just gonna do this. Now, the different advisors and so on that you can recruit, you can get the counselor, you can get the bodyguard, you can get the accomplice, and you can get the lover. If I remember correctly, it differs for the characters based on who you are. But yeah. Now for the tutorial, it's called Broken Glass. You investigate the case of the missing merchant. If you want, you can go in and just say, I don't want to learn any of this. You lose a little dignity, which I suggest just going really fast into it, just doing all the things. But for now, we're just going to do the tutorial. And you have moved to a new area, the chateau. And basically you're going to be gathering different clues in order to find the merchant. Now let me just pull into here. You'll see it here on the second tab. Like, I didn't go through this, but you can actually click through and find out. These are your skills. The middle one is what case you're on, as well as the story and circumstance, which I don't want to open right now because there's a certain spoiler in there. And also the different resources that you have. You can get a lot of different things. You can also choose, or not choose, but you can also look at who you have here. Kind of like at a glance. But anyway, we're at 0 out of 10, and we need 10 clues in order to finish this case. So, welcome to the basic how you handle the game. So, I always keep this up because the skills are really important. So you click once and then you'll be given 3 random cards. Now some of them are really related to the story at hand, and some of them are just kind of like, you'll have to talk to new advisors, you'll get the sense of who you could pick up. Now I'm not going to pick her yet, but we're just going to go through 1 or 2. Some of them are related to being more hands-on as a leader, and some of them are about, for instance, there's an ominous tail in the sky. And then you have to act against it. So So you get to choose which ones you want to do. Some of them are locked depending on how many on the requirements that are needed. Let's see here. Which one do I want to do? So you have to be really careful here, because the thing is that you have 19 out of 20 options. You have 20 options in total, and you don't want to click around too much. Otherwise, you're going to decrease those actions pretty fast. What you can do is, if you don't want to do, say, this one, and you look at these and you go, oh god, I don't want to do any of these, you can just press perhaps not. If you go in too deep, like you already accept a quest, like if I click this and tried to get out perhaps not, it would use an action and I would not be able to go back. But it's a good way of just looking through and being like, okay, what are my options here? So for instance, let's go with... My master recently visited the Empress's court, so grant him an audience and listen to his boasts. So you get to learn more, and then there are different things that will happen. Now, you lost 2 dignity, and then the wind rises, the chateau pennants crack like whips. Just kind of getting the sense of, you know, the environment and also any omens that pass your way. So, it'll go in, and then it'll give you these options that you can do. Now, in order to react to different actions, it'll give you specific things based on your skills. It'll also mention if one will give you a horrible chance of success, it'll give you a tough one, it's a modest challenge, or if it's totally 100%, you got the ability to do this. I find that anything under 50, is pretty bad. So I generally don't like spending prosperity, because you do spend it. Here, let's go through it. So what you could do is give a richer gift in exchange, right? You raise your dignity and then you reduce your prosperity. There are a lot of different options that make you do this, that you'll sacrifice in one way in order to get the other. If you don't balance well enough and you let things go way out of hand when it comes to the numerical values of your skills, then you're kind of screwed, and it's just really not fun. Let's see here. So, I have a little bit higher dignity, and I have a little bit less prosperity. Now, let's see here. A shortage of soda ash. Now, if you remember, the commission was the one that we had last time. And then, Your Grace, bad news, cross glass over the grass. Actually, no, it was a different one. It'll interchange. You'll still have those cards in your hand, but they'll change up which one is available. Now let's do this one, the thievery at the glassworks. You lost your prosperity. The chantry resounds with the chant of light. Can the maker hear it from his far off throne? There are a lot of different kind of environments that you get into that are actually kind of cool. Now, one of them is you can tell your chevalier down, and this is a straightforward challenge. So anything I believe over 90%, it's really helpful. But if you really wanted to try gaining prosperity and clues, then you could try it, but it's really high risk, and I don't suggest it. I always find straightforward, obviously, is the what you need to do. So let's just click it. So I gained 10 prosperity, which I lost in the last round. But I succeeded. And let's say, oh, you go on this one. This is one of the people that you can actually have as your advisor. Make the guild mistress your counselor, increasing your rulership by 20. She will replace your current counselor. Now, obviously, this will take 2 favors from the smiling mistress, which includes you have to sacrifice prosperity, you need a clue, and you need a bag of royals. Bag of royals are basically what they sound like. It's going to be basically a sack of gold that you throw at people in different quests. But yeah. And then also, The only one that we can do right now is an almost impossible challenge, which is not really helpful. I suggest not doing it at all. And going back, and then getting another hand. Now, this will use an action. Anytime you use the deck to fill your hand, it's going to use an action. So I highly suggest just clicking it, and then only clicking it whenever you have one card left. If you do that more than two, then you're just wasting actions at that point. Let's see here. Sad news, Your Grace, the Herald exclaims. Obviously not the Herald of Andraste, but... So a lot of the other ones, rather than just being very, oh, this is the action of what you need to do, this is you taking directive action against certain things, is that you'll just have some of these things. It's just like, just getting the sense of the world and becoming an actual leader. And it's just basically points where you can do specific things. Now, if you look at this, both of them are pretty bad when it comes to the odds. And if you do perhaps not, you're still spending an action. So at the very least, you could do this, but the thing is that you can also sacrifice your own stuff. So it's try to gain dignity in clues. You can easily mess up here, which we probably will. Oh! You know what? Forget that. Of course, it decides to actually give it to me. You succeeded in a ruler challenge, even though 36% was totally bad. So I gained 4 dignity, and I gained 3 clues. Now we have 3 clues out of 10 in order to do this. So basically, this is how it goes. I think what I'm going to do is for the next one, for the Scholar, I'm going to completely skip the tutorial, and then I'm going to dive into the real actions and the real event that pops up after you do the tutorial. For now, take care. Be sure to check the next link. Or you can watch the introduction again if you really want. But anyway, take care everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.